My guest today is Bill Gossman, CEO of Hi5, a social networking company based in San Francisco. Bill became the CEO of Hi5 in April 2009. Thanks for being here, Bill.
Great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Hi5. What is it, and what makes you different than some of the other social networks?
The social network is it's a graph and a use case. And the graph is sort of the social connectivity for sharing that use case amongst people. So the way you think about Facebook is it's kind of the people you know on the planet. It's identity for the internet. The way I kind of think of it is almost a church social. Its privacy model is very open. You know, it's people you know and you are in frequent contact with, or at least some contact with. Then you have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is it's a graph of your professional existence, and it's kind of your resume online in a way of having a professional presence. And then, we are an entertainment site. So think of us as almost a graph of a nightclub, a graph where you go, a venue and a platform for going to enjoy yourself, for, playing games, for flirting, for gifting, to, having an avatar, using that avatar to interact with other people. Think of it that way. Think of it as a nightclub versus a church social versus a resume.
Interesting. So that's really how you separate yourself from the Facebooks, the MySpaces of the world, some of the other social networks, it sounds like.
Yeah, MySpace's credit, they're in social entertainment as well, but they've very specifically chosen music as the focus for entertainment. I had the good fortune of being an investor in iLike, and they picked up iLike, they picked up iMe. They've really focused on music distribution, and their graph is a way of monetizing that. It's an interesting strategy, and I'm sure they'll do well at it.
Okay, so tell me then, you're a social entertainment network, if I've said that correctly.
That's correct.
Who is your typical consumer then?
Our typical consumer, that's a really interesting question. We are a global network, about 60 million uniques worldwide. Our average user is 18 to 35, skewing a little bit on the young side of that, skewing slightly male. About 15% of them are in North America, 25% in Europe, 30% in Latin America, and the balance in Asia, and a tiny percentage in Africa and the Middle East. So think of it as a large polyglot nation of people that like to have fun.
Okay, and finding people to have fun probably isn't that difficult, I imagine.
It isn't. It's more. So if you think about how do you meet people, how do you connect with people? I'll separate connect versus meet. In Facebook, you don't generally meet people. You connect with people. They're people you know. Mm-hmm. It's around a noun, right? A noun is my friend Paul Johnson. I was in an undergraduate school with. If I want to find him, I go to Facebook and I connect with him. Our use case is more about meeting people. Quite often, it's meeting people around a verb, around gifting something to them, or playing a game. Or people flirting with one another between locales. So it's more of a meeting use case than it is a connecting use case. Again, so to the nightclub, you might walk into a nightclub, you might know a couple people there. There might be a couple people you want to get to know. You're probably going to have a variety of levels of privacy that you're going to maintain between those people, and we support that use case pretty well.
So in the case of Hi5, it sounds like more interaction than you might get with a typical social network, it sounds like.
That's the idea. I mean, we're still in early days of doing this, but, hats off to Facebook and hats off to LinkedIn. They're doing an awesome job around their use case. I think that what they've proven is that you can use a social graph to distribute a bunch of things, a bunch of media types or connect people. We just, that people that are going to succeed in this are going to have a very distinct use case and be best in class at that use case. And Facebook is a prime example, best in class at the reconnecting with people you know, identity for the internet kind of use case. LinkedIn's another one. And from an entertainment perspective, again, think of us as, 5 years from now, we want to be sort of a combination of a Nintendo box in the cloud plus American Idol in the cloud, but a lot more interactive. Very much entertainment, very much focused around around verbs and contests and things like that, as opposed to meeting people.
Okay.
Excuse me, as opposed to connecting with people.
Okay, now you personally, Bill, you have a reputation, a very good reputation for being able to monetize companies. And I think that's probably one of the reasons you were brought into Hi5 in the first place. What are you concentrating on with Hi5 in that regard?
Well, and so what I saw in Hi5 is, great understanding of virality. How do you reach a very, very large audience with a really interesting use case? Really, really incredible capability at localization. I mean, the reason we are in so many countries and we are so many languages, 50 languages and dialects, is we have a huge expertise in localization. And then, so then what I started to do with the firm is turn it towards entertainment. And most recently, hired a fellow to be our president and CTO, a guy named Alex St. John. And Alex is pretty well known for, I'll go out on a limb and say he invented the most successful gaming platform ever, which was DirectX within the PC platform, which became, the basis for PC games as we think about it, Doom, whatever, and also became the guts, the software guts of the Xbox. So having him sort of build this venue and platform or lead that is a really important thing. And also he, in his previous company, Wild Tangent, which is I think the third largest gaming network, according to ComScore, he really focused on how do you build a commerce engine to collect revenue between ad dollars and direct pay, or direct pay microcurrency being a proxy for subscription revenue. So he's very expert at that. And the social media explosion, social entertainment explosion, you can imagine any type of content going from any place to any person, and there are various ways of the person paying for access to that content using a currency platform. So those are all the things that we're focusing on.
Okay. Let's talk about the future a little bit, maybe about the industry. Do you see a consolidation happening in social networking? What do you see as the difference between those that survive and those will not? And then maybe you could talk a little bit about what you see as the landscape in social networking, say, in 5 years from now.
So I don't believe there'll be a consolidation in sort of from the vector of users. So you won't see 3 or 4 small social networks merging to become a slightly larger social network, because if you don't have a good use case, if you don't have a good reason for them to want to be there, they're going to go away anyway. The consolidation you'll see is people will consolidate around use cases. Facebook being identity for the internet, Church Social, connecting with people LinkedIn, all about your professional existence, Hi5, all about having fun, all about entertaining. And so you'll see some consolidation around particular use cases or particular companies and use cases that fit within those larger rubrics.
Interesting. So 5 years from now, is social networking similar to what we're seeing today, or will it be? Are we in the infancy?
But it's still pretty rudimentary. I would, if you just sort of blink your eyes and imagine on the platform of earned distribution, this notion of I have a social graph, and that social graph is linked to a use case that brings people together. Anything you see in entertainment and telecommunications broadly will find its way into what we think of as social networking services today. You'll be able to watch video on a social entertainment service like ours, and either have that compensate the publisher via you watching advertising or you paying microcurrency payment for it. If you're on Facebook, it will become, I think, almost a publishing platform, a la what Jobs and Jeff Bezos are trying to do with Kindles and tablets. It'll be a way of sort of getting that traditional, the kind of things you talk about with your friends, a water cooler kind of talk. What LinkedIn turns into, that's hard to say. It could turn into a lot of different things, but again, it will be around that core use case. But in our case, when you think of entertainment as a game console, a television, and hitting a nightclub, sort of all that sort of getting sucked into the cloud and being available to you online on a global basis. That's kind of the vision we have for Hi5. And it all starts with that core notion of earned distribution and a use case that people will take and make viral based on the know-how to do it.
Thank you very much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
It's great talking to you. This is my first Skype interview. All of you people at Skype, great media for doing this.